Hi everyone, my name is Ruba Mandiwana and I will be with you throughout the courses. So today we are going to start with HTML introduction. So with HTML, the introduction to HTML, a beginner guide to understanding the building blocks of the web. So I'm going to start with what is HTML. HTML is a hypertext markup language. It is the standard markup language for creating web pages. It describes the structure of a web page and consists of a series of elements that tells the browser how to display content. Think of HTML as the skeleton of a web page. It provides the basic structure, which is then enhanced and styled with CSS, a cascading style sheet, and made interactive with JavaScript. HTML is not a programming language. It is a markup language that uses text to define elements within a document. These elements label pieces of content such as this is a heading, this is a paragraph, this is a link, and etc. The HTML document structure. Every HTML document follows a basic structure. Let's look at the essential components. So we have a comment here, okay, which says this is the doc type declaration. Okay, so it has our doc type declaration here, right, and we have our HTML here, then which we have our closing tag HTML here, and then everything, as you can see here, that everything else goes inside the HTML, right? So we also have the head here, opening tag, and a closing tag, right, which all the metadata goes in here, as well as the titles, the links that links the style sheet, the style sheet goes right in here, and we have the body tag, which where all the content is displayed. Here we have the head and the paragraph in our cases. So we will dive deep inside that. So let me just explain the doc type declaration. So understanding the doc type, okay. The doc type HTML declaration defines the document type and version of HTML. It helps the browsers to display web pages correctly. So here are the point. We have the key points. HTML. I'm sorry. Doc type HTML is the shortest and standard doc type for HTML5. It must appear at the very top of the HTML document before any HTML text. It is not an HTML tag. It is an instruction to the web browser about the version of HTML the page is written in. So here we have some basic text. So we are saying HTML tags are the building blocks of HTML pages. They are keywords, meaning tag names, surrounded by angle brackets. Most tags come in pairs, an opening tag and a closing tag. So we have our first page here, our HTML. Okay, we are saying the root element that wraps all content on the page. We have our second page, which contains meta information about the document. We have our third page, the title. So it is said the title shown in the browser tab. Our fourth page contains all the visible content on the page. We have our fifth page, which ranges from H1 to H6. So which we say H1 is our largest heading, H2 is our, wait, let me just say put it this way. H1 is stronger than H2, H2 is stronger than H3, and so on and so on up until H6. Okay, so we are saying H6 is the smallest heading, which is the least important, and H1 is the most important one. Okay, so let's hear what here. So it says heading text H1 is the largest, H6 is the smallest. Okay, so we are coming here into our sixth pair. So we have our P tag, which is our paragraph. So it defines the paragraph of a text. So we have our anchor tag. So this is our software. So it creates a hyperlink to other web pages. Then we have our img. It embed an image. Look, this is a self-closing tag. This is not a pair. It moves along, a single one. So we'll go to that. So we have our ul, unordered list, and we have our li. So it creates an ordered list, meaning bullets. So we have our ol. So ol, which defines an ordered list. So it points them in numbers. So this is our li. So which defines the list, which goes inside our ul or li. Okay, we'll go to that as well throughout the courses. So now we are going to the div pair. Okay, so a div is a container for other HTML elements. So let's see the example here. Okay, h1. Okay, we says welcome to my website. Okay, which it also has a closing tag, meaning it's a pair, right? So it's our first heading. It is the strongest one, which will be written in bold letters. So we have our paragraph here, which says this is a paragraph of the text of my web page. We know that it has an opening and a closing tag, which this text is within. So it will be written in small letters. So we have our anchor tag, right, which we set the hyperlink. So here is our link. It's our link here, and then when we click this text here, it will direct us to this link, and then we have our image, which will be displayed, right? Okay, so now let's just walk here very fast. So we're just going to talk about how HTML works, right? So understanding the workflow of how HTML creates web pages will help you grasp the bigger picture. So let's start here. Okay, write HTML code. You create an HTML file with a text editor like Notepad, VS Code, Sublime Text Array, and so on and so on, using HTML text structure or content. Okay, so save as .html. Okay, save the file with a .html extension, e.g. index.html. This tells the computer it is an HTML document. If you save it as, you can still save it as whatever your name is, and then you can say .xhtml, but that's a different language, so it is fine. But I recommend you use .html. Okay, so if you say set your name, whatever the name of the file you wanna name, and then you say that HTML, it will help the computer and the browser to understand that this is an HTML file. Okay, so the browser operation files, when opening the .html file in the web browser, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, so on and so on, the browser reads the HTML code. Okay, so we have some browser renders page. Browser renders page. The browser interprets the HTML text and displays the content according to the structure defined by those tags. Important. Browsers are designed to be forgiving with HTML errors. If there are mistakes in your HTML, the browser will try to display something anyway, which is why it is important to check your code carefully. So I will introduce you to some HTML code validators, okay, throughout the course part. This one is just an introduction. So let's come here to quick references. So we have HTML tag anatomy. So here we have our some of the short stuff. So here's the tag name. So you can set your tag name as the paragraph, as the p tag name, the a, the div, the section, and so on and so on. So here is how it is here with an opening tag, closing tag. We have our attribute here, and then we have the content here. So self-closing tags. Some HTML tags don't have closing tags because they don't contain content. img src, img, which is our tag name, src photo.png, and then we have alt is equals to photo. So here, this one, we call them src and alt. They are attributes, right? Okay. We also have the br, right? The line break. So it breaks the line. So I'll just show you things as we go on, but I'm just touching up. We also have the hr, which is the horizontal rule. You can call it. We can also say the horizontal line. That's fine. So here we have the key attributes. We have the id, unique identifier for an element, which is very important. If you set your id, it should be unique. You shouldn't look any other. So it will help you to style it when styling and when using JavaScript for interactivity. So we have our class. So class name for styling multiple elements. So the class will help you. You can set the style here in the body, right? I'll show you just the things. So classes. The one point here is classes. You can give the class name to as much as you want, and then you have the href. It specifies the URL for links. src specifies the source for images, and alt is alternative text for images. Okay, so the next step after learning HTML is you should practice by creating simple pages, learn CSS to display your pages, learn JavaScript to add interactivity, explore more HTML tags and attributes. So, and throughout the course, HTML course, I will be giving you some projects to practice how to create a simple web pages. Then, after we finish our HTML course, we will go to CSS and JavaScript, and I will also be showing you some of the HTML tags and attributes. Thank you. I will wish you to follow me, subscribe, and please stay with me so we can continue building. We will continue learning.